Here's a really quick and fun way to indicate leaves in a journal or on a piece of watercolor paper, wherever, that just brings me a lot of pleasure because it's like dancing with your paintbrush. I'm going to be working on some scrap pieces of watercolor just to get the process figured out, and then I'll put this in my nature journal. And I can work with either a round watercolor brush or my trusty travel brush, water chamber brush. This is made by Arteza, and the chamber is filled with water. And the one thing about working with a watercolor brush is you do want to depress either the chamber or this area so that water will come out and you'll be able to clean it, as well as control the amount of water coming out. But for this demo, I'm going to just work with a traditional watercolor brush. I have a cup of water and I have my watercolor palette in front of me. Just a quick reminder, I like to have a chart showing all my colors that correspond to exactly where the colors are sitting in my palette. It's easy to create and it's a lot of fun. So I'm going to take a color, and the trick with this technique is you're going to sit your brush down. So I have the ferrule all the way touching and I'm pressing down on my brush, and then when I pull up, I kind of push my brush away so it's seated, and now I flick it like that. So I sit and flick, and that's giving me a pretty good shape for a leaf. So sit and flick, sit and flick. Now that I've done a few of them, I'm going to put them so that they're near each other. So sit and flick, sit and flick, sit and flick, and then I turn the paper around and I do the same thing. I sit and flick, and I think I'll put one here at the top, sit and flick. And there I've got just a fun branch that I can go back onto with other colors. While it's wet, I can drop some other colors in and let them bleed together and create an interesting branch-like shape so that in my nature journal, I've captured a moment. Once I have the basic sit and flick technique figured out, the sky's the limit. I can try to finish this a little more realistically. This is the leaf section that I picked up this morning in our neighborhood, and I noticed that the edges are pretty rough or toothed. So I took a black pen and just in some areas kind of indicated that tooth and the stem, and then I can take my favorite white gel pen to add some more details going through this. That's for a more realistic look. On this opening spread of my nature journal, I played with that technique using iridescent watercolors on black paper. I just love that. And over here, I just kind of went all over the place and then went over it with some writing, not going for a realistic look. And on this page, I set down a circular shape first, did my sit and flick technique in a circle, and now I'm just going to randomly take some colors and extend that into sort of a wreath shape, filling in with some additional lines and some embellishments to create a circular wreath. And finally, since I'm calling this the sit and flick technique, might as well do some more flicking. I have a very wet paintbrush with pigment, and I'm just tapping it to go over my sit and flick marks that I've layered up. And I just like the way that sort of explodes on the page. Something fun to put on top. And then here's my finished wreath or frame. And you can see how fun that is to work with iridescent watercolors. The set I'm working with is Coliro Pearl Colors. It's made in Germany, and you can find them on the Dick Blick site or Amazon. Please use my links on my homepage. I'd appreciate your support. Anyway, have a really good time playing with sit and flick this summer, and I'd love to see your work. Please share it with us.